welcome back to KREM Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes on this beautiful Thursday morning, the 12th of October 2023. It is 7:42 a.m. and I am now joined by Dr. Donald McKnight, Research Director of Savanna Field Station, Miss Yamira, or the Mrs. Yamira Fuentes, the Technical Assistant, Terrestrial Wildlife Conservation Society, WCS, and Gerard Serrano, Mr. Gerard Serrano of Be Free, with the, I just like said what me this morning, but the Dermatemes program coordinator. Okay, thanks for the save. So welcome, because we got a message from you that we are actually in Hicatee Awareness Month. As I was telling them in the break, I wrote the Belmopan, between Belmopan, Ladyville, Ablicity, so my Hicatee knowledge is minimal. Good morning to Gia Martinez, who wrote a book on the Hicatee. Yes. But Uno educate me this morning, so I'm very excited about that he will educate me and our listeners or viewers about Hicatee Awareness Month.
I don't know. Would you want to start, Darren?
So yeah, we could start a conversation by just saying happy Hicatee Awareness Month to everybody listening. And this initiative started off in 2017 with a film, right? This film was called Hope for Hicatee. It's on YouTube, so you could look it up. The Hope for the Hicatee, which was filmed by renowned wildlife filmmakers Carol and Richard Foster. And the objective of this film was to raise awareness about the species, have Belizeans know more about the Hicatee turtle, and know more about the reasons why it is critically endangered, right? And while promoting this video, we started visiting different institutions, different schools, and this then blossomed into schools and institutions saying, hey, I want to do this again. I want to do this again the next year. This has some resources and some recommendations so we could improve this. So it then evolved into this Hicatee Awareness Month campaign. And this is the 7th year we're doing this now. And we're happy for you guys, and happy that you guys are hosting us today, really.
Well, I'm happy to have you. Like I said, the knowledge mine could definitely be a lot more. So, I'm always excited when I can learn new things. I'm sure I could say the same for my viewers and listeners. So, welcome.
So, WCS, we partnered later on in the initiative. So, we haven't been doing it for 7 years. We have been doing between 4 to 3 years. Because
that's a significant amount of time. So.
It was not until like about 2016 that we re-established our terrestrial program. So WCS, the organization itself, has been in existence in country since about 1981. So we have a long-term, we're a long-term conservation organization in country, but it was mostly marine-based for a large portion of it. And in 2016, they re-established a terrestrial program. I joined later on in 2016, and then in about 2017, 2018, when we were trying to figure out what we wanted to focus, what our terrestrial program wanted to focus on, we were looking at what species wasn't being covered, what had a gap, and for us, a large gap was the Hicatee, because at that time, there were very few organizations working and interacting with the Hicatee. You had Be Free down south doing their captive bred program and doing their education and outreach, and then you had Savanna Field Station doing some research, depending on how funding availability was. And so you had also different organizations trying to do outreach on a yearly basis, like Belize Awareness Society, the University of Belize, but it was very based on funding.
Which was, you're saying that was very limited?
That was very limited at the time. When you're doing species-specific conservation, it's very harder to get funding for one species, rather than if you have an umbrella organization or umbrella target that you're doing, it might be a bit easier. So we were like, we want Hicatee to be one of our target species, and we were looking at what's the gaps. At the time we didn't have, research or continuous research going on in the wild, trying to understand what the population is. If you ask us today, we still don't know what the population is. in Belize. We just know that we have probably the better population than the other 3 countries that it exists in, which is only Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize. So
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, you can only find it in 3 countries, and it's not even all over in those 3 countries.
Certain regions of those 3 countries.
Certain regions of those 3 countries. I think we might have it the more wider expanse of our country, because you can get it also up north in central Belize and also some areas in down south. And so really that's where WCS decided, there's a gap. We need to work on this gap. And, we worked along with Be Free and different other organizations trying to see how we can fill that gap and trying to re-energize that activity of bringing the Hicatee back to the forefront of conservation action. And so that's how WCS got involved in it.
Okay.
And for me, turtle is just a passion. I can't give up turtles. I love them from small, whether they're sea turtles or freshwater turtles. They're just a unique set of species.
Yeah,
definitely.
So on that, one of the really amazing things about Hicatee is just how unique they are. So I first came to Belize in 2019 to work on Hicatee.
Okay.
And I've been really fortunate that I've been able to travel around the world and study a lot of different turtles. And the first time I saw a Hicatee, I just fell in love with the species. They're unlike any other turtle anywhere else in the world. They're really special.
Well, can you tell us why they're really special?
I would love to tell you what's
and
so
my
special
viewers
about them.
and listeners, of course.
So there's one of the things that's interesting about them is that they are the last member of their family. So they're very distantly related to all the other turtles. They're the only one like them anywhere in the world. Like Yamira was saying, they've got this really limited range. It's just this little part of the world that they're in.
What do you think the reason for that is?
It goes back many millions of years.
Okay.
That if you back the clock up, this family used to be widespread, but then as the world has just changed and landmass has moved around, this one's the only one that's managed to hang on. But historically, like if you look back at like what we know from archaeological records with like the Mayans, Hicatee were really abundant. That they used to be just thousands and thousands and thousands of them all throughout these rivers. And the few systems that we have that don't have harvesting, you go there and the Hicatee are just incredibly abundant. And it's just amazing to see these systems where they're just full of Hicatee, and the Hicatee are really important for like eating the vegetation along the edge and playing these roles in the ecosystems. But then what's really tragic to me is you go to a lot of the other places where there's been a lot of harvesting and you can almost find no Hicatee at all. So there's been a couple of like countrywide surveys looking at the populations here in Belize, and the most recent one couldn't even find them at a lot of the sites that they used to be abundant at. So the populations are really declining quite a bit, which is a shame because it's such a unique, fascinating turtle. One of the other things we just learned about it, we just had a study come out on it, is that Hicatee are social. So they live in these groups and will move around together and will move up and down the river together in these social groups.
Road trip. Well,
exactly.
Right, that's right.
And this is not normally what we would see with other
reptiles.
turtles.
Exactly. Turtles usually we don't think of them as being social. We think of them as a very solitary animal. But it turns out Hicatee have all these fascinating social behaviors that are very unique that we only knew about just recently. So there's a lot more to learn about this turtle and how it behaves and how it functions. They're also, I'm biased, but they're a really gorgeous turtle. So the males during the breeding season have these brilliant yellow or green or orange heads, and they're just a stunning animal. They're really pretty. So for me personally, Belize is famous for its wildlife. We have the toucans and the tapirs and the jaguars, and people come from all over the world to see them.
That's true.
But in my opinion, the Hicatee is just as good as any of those, and it doesn't get the attention of the others. But
So,
it's really an animal Belize should be proud to have here.
Well, I'll be honest, growing up, as a little girl in Belize, it's not an unfamiliar name to me. I've been hearing about stew Hicatee and barbecue Hicatee and all kinds of stuff. I'll be honest, I've never tried I'm a bit funny with some foods, like cow food. I don't get into that neither. So how do you, because so culturally, as far as food preparation, or like, you know, go to a festival, you know, Hicatee is a delicacy in Belize. But you're saying that, because your organization is the Savanna Field Station, right?
Yes.
You're saying that you are seeing in some areas that you're having less or smaller populations. So how are you, well, Be Free or WCS or the Savanna Field Station, how can you like navigate like that cultural thing where it's a delicacy, and also, well, the ecology of, like you said, majestic beings, social animals, like you said, doing the trimming, the vegetation on the side of the river, and so I don't know, and all of you can say, in, you know, based on your organization, how are you managing or navigating that? You know, I mean, you grew up in Belize, you are here that word Hicatee.
Yep.
No once, not twice, you're gonna know that word very well. More than, like, I've not seen, I just see pictures, but I grew up seeing it, like, you know, on those, I don't know what you call them, the sandwich boards or whatever, you know, menu. So maybe we'll start with you again.
Yeah, so it's a collective effort, right, with different organizations, and it's like instilling a mindset, not just a practice, because like you could practice something and start. How much time we go to the gym, right, and then we start and stop. But like,
last time I got a gym, you're destroying me, but okay.
Right, so like instilling a mindset, working with the fishing communities. A lot of traditional fishers tend to have this conservation mindset, and they tend to harvest sustainable. So like working with fishing communities and just like continue to educate people about the uniqueness of this sturgeon. That's part of, like, I believe, our partners in conservation, that's one of our main goals, to continue to educate people about this sturgeon, and also not going hard hammer and say not eat Hicatee, but like avoid eating it and practice sustainable harvesting.
There is a season, right? Or
there is a closed season for harvesting Hicatee. That is May 1st to the 31st. So
May 1st to the 31st of May?
Yeah, it's only one month.
Yeah.
So there's no season, so you're not supposed to have it right now, by the way, right?
No.
Yeah, the closed season. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's only the month of May.
Okay, so outside of, so for May, no Hicatee, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
1st to the 31st.
Yeah, so there are laws in place that are set to regulate. So enforcement is something that we definitely need to work on.
Well, that would, I'll think.
Yeah, particularly like
we have the best laws in the world, but Lord, man, the enforcement that would drop the water.
Particularly like in freshwater conservation, you know, we definitely need to continue to work on that, to strengthen that aspect of conservation in Belize, because what happens in the freshwater systems affect the coastal regions as well.
Of course.
But I think on all of our ends, it's just educating and working with, like, closely with the community, and not having like this strong not eat Hicatee approach, but like working with the community and educating them about Hicatee harvesting.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So on our part, it's, and on a personal note, you know, I've worked with some of the communities. I've gone in and I've done like social. One of the first things I wanted to do was understand what the consumption was like in the areas that heavily consume the species, and I wanted to understand the people's perspective. You know, before you can tackle any kind of things, you kind of need to understand the people and what they want or what they think. Is this a species of importance for them, enough for them to have that mind change or that mindset to change? Do they realize that their own action is going to have a detrimental effect later on? And, you know, they highlight that it's a very cultural and traditional thing for them to consume it. We understand that. And our laws actually ensure that there is some level of subsistence consumption occur. When it was enacted in 1993, the statutory instrument allowed for the capture of it, but there is a bag limit, or amount you can catch, which is only 3 per person. But if you're traveling in a vehicle, if it's 4 of us and we're off hunting Hicatee, if we're traveling in a vehicle, we can only have 5. My personal, view is that is at this point to me still too much.
Okay.
Especially because we're not seeing the numbers that was seen in the 70s and in the 80s.
And even in the 90s.
And in the 90s when it was an open market and you can literally go to the fish market and pick which turtle you want.
Okay.
You know, it was like that. Like you can attend a fish market and you can find it, a live hicatee, and you go and pick your turtle that you want to eat for today's dinner.
Kind of like if you go and buy snapper or something.
Yeah, like you go buy snapper or conker or anything. And so, and it's not sold per pound or anything like that. It's sold as an individual, and majority of the time when people purchase it, it is alive still.
Okay.
You know, it's kept alive. People, your community people prefer to do their own killing of it and their own preparation because it has its tradition towards it, and it's very cultural in its way. And like Don had said, it had predated back to the Mayans, and there's evidence in archaeology that actually shows that they kind of were trying to like harvest them and put them in ponds kind of thing. So we assume that there was a level of consumption also by the Mayans. So it's very historic. But a part of that is also, okay, so you understand that your own actions is also being detrimental. So for me, it is a mindset. So we're giving people all the information and letting them know the critical status of it. It is critical and endangered. The next step to that is near extinct or extinct. We only have it in 3 countries. Belize is fortunate to be one of those countries. And it is up to your personal choice to decide if this Easter I might just abstain from eating it, because what we had seen is Easter is just one of the most popular time to consume it, Their Easter food is hicatee with rice and beans, and they salad on the side, like how I like my turkey dinner for Easter, for Christmas. And that's just a cultural thing for us in Belize City. When Christmas comes around, we need the turkey dinner. In the rural communities, when Easter comes around, they want their hicatee. And we've seen that it's now heavily associated with a special event, especially because it's not being able to be, or they're not able to find it as much as they want to, so it's not a daily consumption. It's not, they're no longer dependent on it as a source of protein for consuming. It's now an active choice that you're choosing to eat it. And that is fine. You want to practice your tradition and your culture, but I like to leave it in the hands of the community people and of you to decide your choice of if you want to eat it or not. And if you are going to eat it, are you going to eat 2, 3, 4, or are you going to just take what you need for your family to consume it? And one might be sufficient. We're finding in our research that these turtles used to grow very large, very, very large, like this.
Really?
Compare my size, and they could reach up to maybe 30 to 35 pounds. They're really heavy. And we're not getting those when we're capturing and doing our research. We're getting, I think the max size I've gotten was like a 27 pound, and I found that's
significantly smaller.
So it's significantly smaller, and that goes to show that they still exist, yes, but they're now smaller.
Gotcha.
And that affects their whole reproduction and everything with their cycle. Their turtles, they're not like your sea turtle that has tons of eggs. Their number of eggs is even smaller. They would have maybe between 15 to 20.
So much smaller.
So much smaller. So their survivability is very less. And so for me, it's the community members have to strike their own balance, and they have to be their stewards of their resources. Like you said, you don't eat hicatee. If it disappeared, you wouldn't feel that effect. But for those people who eat it and it's culturally ingrained into their tradition, it might impact them and their kids if it no longer exists. Because I could just one time tell you, oh, we used to eat hicatee and this used to be this large turtle, but now it no longer exists. So on that perspective, I like to leave the action into the community's hands. I give you your information and you make your choice.
Wonderful. So we're going to take a short break because I think I missed an ad. I don't want you to leave, because when we come back from the break, we'll get back into this conversation, because I'm really enjoying this, and I want to thank my guests for telling us all about hicatee this morning.
Babe, I'm going out to pay the water bill.
You don't need to go out. You could pay it from your phone. Look.
Babe, the credit card bill. I'll go pay it.
You can also pay it with your phone.
Babe,
Yes, love?
I need to go deposit the baby service pay.
You really want to go out, don't you? It's okay. I will make the transfer and you go play ball.
With Atlantic Bank Mobile, your personal banking experience is easier and more convenient. Bank your way with any of our digital channels and save time for what matters most.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
My Social Security. Your direct online access to all your Social Security information. 360 view of all your Social Security information. Registration services, benefits, contributions, and employer services at your fingertips. Enjoy all the new features with your My Social Security account. Register with SSB. Submission of benefit claims. Submission of contribution statements. View contribution record. Enjoy all your My Social Security feature at ssbportal.org.bz. Social Security at your fingertips.
Take a deep breath. You feel that energy coursing through your body? That's because of me. I am the rainforest. I produce the air you breathe. I make it rain. I'm also your pharmacy. I'm home to more plants and wildlife than you're ever going to see in your lifetime. I work hard day and night, taking in all the carbon dioxide you produce and turning it into life-giving oxygen. My personality is singular. My biodiversity is mind-blowing. My generosity knows no bounds. But then, so does your greed. I give you everything I have for free. I don't want thanks. I just want respect. I want you to stop acting like I'm just bush. I want you to stop treating me like dirt. I want you to see life, not lumber. I want you to always be able to come to me and find your roots, to unwind, and yes, to always be able to breathe deep. That's a privilege many will pay for, but it's not about money. It's about having a future.
Design Depot, your all-in-one destination for transforming your living spaces. Explore the world of GE with our selection of cutting-edge appliances for functional, convenient, and modern living. Find solutions for every paint project, from home to industrial, with our extensive selection of Sherwin-Williams paints and coatings. Safeguard your home with the durability of our weather-resistant windows and doors. Elevate your kitchen and bath with the timeless elegance of Kohler sinks and faucets. Transform your space with our constantly refreshed tile inventory, always embracing the latest tile trends. Design Depot, your source for innovation, inspiration, and impeccable design. Design Depot, all in one place.
Welcome back to KREM Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. I'm here with my guests and we're going to discuss Hicatee because if you never know, now you know. October is Hicatee Awareness Month in Belize, and I'm joined by representatives from 3 different organizations. So we have Be Free in the house, we have WCS, and we have the Savanna Field Station in the persons of Jaren Serrano, Yamira Fuentes, and Dr. Donald McKnight. So just before we're gone, we made to discuss that, like you said, you give a good background, the cultural aspect of Hicatee, the numbers that, you know, you could barely find it in some places, but we want to talk about why you're really here and what activities you have for this month.
So, you know, we want to talk about some of our conservation actions that we've been doing. You know, WCS, I still consider us like a fresh player in the Hicatee network and realm. You know, I don't want to say rookie, because, you know, don't take the rookie now.
Okay, you're right, 2019, you're right. And you today, you said 2016.
Like 17, yeah, like 20,
right,
yeah.
So, yeah, I'm down to the rookie, you're right.
He's
right.
a rookie. He has more experience than I do when it comes to turtles and a whole. And what we liked was, you know, so we did a social survey, we did a household survey for 11 communities to understand what their consumption was. That's one of our first activities that we did to try and understand what they know and what they don't know, and then to target our education and outreach activities to focus on those things. So we do a lot of education and outreach, WCS as a whole, not just on Hicatee, but all of our conservation activities. Additionally, from that, we ventured into research and monitoring of the Hicatee in 2019. We teamed up with Don, Be Free, and we started to do research and monitoring, and that continues today, that we're doing research and monitoring of the Hicatee in central Belize, because that's, you know, where it's found a lot more is in central Belize.
When you say central Belize, which region is this, sorry?
So that would be like a region from almost from like Boom, or you could even say from Ladyville, all that River Valley area, but then you could jump on the Western Highway and you can, you know, count in like Gracie Rock, you know, it's in the Siboon River. So you have it all in that expanse, all the way up to More Tomorrow. We have done social surveys, and you can find it all the way up there. So it's a very big section, because then you go all the way back to Rancho, sometimes all the way up to Orange Walk, in that New River area. So it's a large area to cover, and there's only a few organizations working on it. So we have years of work.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
You sound kind of hectic, I know a lie. It sounds very hectic.
And so research and monitoring work is just a portion of it to understand, you know, the population status of how it is, the ecology of the species. And then you have the aspect where we work with our community to do education and outreach. Besides education and outreach, we work along with the communities to understand what they want to do. You know, and that venture off into sometimes some livelihood projects. With that, one of our big things that I think all of us like to do is interact with students and kids. That's and Jaren has been doing that for a longer time than I have been doing that.
So yeah, like real quick in terms of like the conservation efforts, right? So throughout its geographic range, right? Remember, this turtle only find 3 places: Belize, Mexico, and Guatemala, right? So there was a need for like a captive breeding facility where this turtle could reproduce and thrive without the extra like anthropogenic pressures, and eventually augment wild populations.
Extra which pressures?
So like extra like harvesting and over harvesting and like over hunting and like
you
eating the
snap me up with a word that I like. Which one now?
So real quick, our facility, well, our organization, has a captive breeding facility called the Hicatee Conservation and Research Center. This is a facility that came about due to a partnership with the Turtle Survival Alliance. This is an international alliance that is passionate about saving critically endangered or troubled turtles all around the world. And the purpose of our facility is, remember, this turtle fully aquatic, right? So it's hard to study.
You teach me, because I never remember. So those who know, like the reasons about Hicatee, don't know that they're fully aquatic. I just want not to
you barely see this turtle, pretty much. So we needed a place where we could study turtles' biology and learn the most effective strategies to help like protect it. And at this captive breeding facility, which is at Be Free is located in Toledo District, we have successfully figured out the formula to hatch Hicatee turtles, because these turtles are very sensitive. It's very difficult to actually manage them like without knowing really about the turtle's biology and knowing more about the turtle. So we studied this turtle at this facility, and currently we're at a point where we've reared over 1,000 hatchlings. This facility started off in 2014, right? So we started off with just 8 eggs, and now we've had over 138 nests so far, over 1,000 plus eggs, and over 1,000 hatchlings. So now we're at the point where we want to rewild these turtles and repopulate areas that has been like extirpated or really had decline in numbers. So yeah, that's part of the efforts we're doing in terms of the research aspect and all of that. But in terms of educational outreach, we're also working with the communities and also reaching out different schools. Like to start Hicatee Awareness Month last week, we visited 14 schools in 5 days and reached over 500 students throughout the western Belize areas that are notorious for harvesting Hicatee. So definitely working with the communities, approaching the research aspect, and working to help revise certain legislations and strengthen enforcement to help protect these critically endangered turtles. It takes about 16 years for this turtle to reach sexual maturity. So it takes 16 years for Hicatee from baby reach to adult Hicatee for eventually make more Hicatee pretty much.
Never know that
and the egg itself take about 6 months from like what egg to like what hatchling.
Wow. And
typical reptiles take about 90 days.
So this is our real take your time reptile. This one take time.
Yeah, so approaching it from different angles. It's very dynamic, it's very multifaceted. And also saving a Hicatee is not just Hicatee conservation itself, but like it's a whole landscape, you know. You have to do with the fisher folks, you incorporate like promoting sustainable livelihood, because like maybe that fisherman they harvest Hicatee to sell it because they need to make all the ends, you know.
Really?
So working on that aspect as well, and also empowering the community, you know, that itself is also important. So there are different like avenues and routes that we're taking as organizations to help protect this turtle and protect the people as well, empower the people in these areas.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. So Dr. Don, they have like, what do you say, 1,000 hatchlings?
Yeah, so far.
That's deep.
Yeah. So we've been really focused on the research. We've also been doing community outreach, and there's a couple communities, like we've been working really closely with the Spanish Creek Wildlife Sanctuary, and with that community. And it's been really good to really engage local conservation organizations like that and help them with their conservation goals. But a lot of what we've been doing has been really focused on just trying to understand more about this turtle, because there's a lot of things we don't know. So like we've been doing some work looking at their movement patterns, because you have a couple, sanctuaries, but if the turtle moves out of the sanctuary, it can still get eaten. And so like what we've been finding is that these Hicatee will move for miles and miles and miles. Jared and I spent a whole summer together out in a boat tracking these turtles up and down the river.
Oh, so they just...
Yeah,
then swim.
They move like crazy. We had one turtle who overnight moved 9 kilometers along the river.
Break that down into miles for
Yeah, just booked it.
Wow.
So understand.
They do better than me. I try to walk like at least 6-7 kilometers every day. 9 kilometers. That's deep.
Yeah, so understanding things like that about the biology of the turtle really helps us to understand, how much space we need to conserve, and working with the different communities and helping them to really understand, the turtles you're seeing aren't just the turtles from here; they're the turtles from all over that are moving into here and moving out of here. And so,
So they're migrating between these three countries, you say, like.
Not necessarily between the countries, but like up and
In the
down, like the rivers,
Oh,
like
okay.
so up and down the Belize River or Saboon or any of those.
Okay, gotcha.
And so it's really about trying to understand more about the turtle and working with the communities. We've been working with Be Free with some of the hatchlings to try to start looking at, can we release them into the wild? Will they survive in the wild? And so a lot of questions left to be answered.
Yeah.
But everything we learn about the turtle helps us, and then we can pass that information on to the communities to, like we were talking about earlier, really give them as much information as possible and leave it in their hands to decide what they want to do about this turtle.
Gotcha. So 9 kilometers, I think it's like 4 miles, almost 5?
Yeah, it's about 5 kilometers.
5 miles.
5 miles. 5 miles.
This Hicatee did a swim. You said one night we were in the canoe, or one day we were in the canoe, and
yeah. So one day
the turtle they pushed 5 miles.
Yes.
So that means I'll have to be, paddling and boating.
Also, then for that one route of my trace down there, Hicatee.
Yeah, a lot of our work is in a canoe most of the time, and it consists of a lot of paddling. Because some areas we can't use a motor on our canoe, so sometimes you gotta out that motor.
No wake zones, right?
And paddle. No, just the rapids might be too much. It's
a lot of plants and rocks.
A lot of down trees down in the debris. I mean, it was a terror after Hurricane Lisa in last November to go back out this year and do work. There were so many trees down in the river and that we didn't necessarily know about. But to go back to the activities that we're doing, so we're trying to do a lot of collaborative effort because this is bigger than us, and it's only through collaborative efforts are we able to reach as much people as we want to reach. So Jaren's been out doing work in different communities, doing education. WCS on our part, we're interacting with our social media audience. We've put out a trivia contest for our adults. They answer 8 different questions and they get a chance with prizes. First prize I think is $300, second prize is $200, and I think third prize is $100, and I think there's other prizes that goes along with that. And then for our kids, because we want to engage our kids, and a great thing is when you engage your kids, you also get them to nag their parents to help them do these things. One of it, so it's an art competition whereby we want the kids to create an art or something that depicts the Hicatee.
I just saw it. It's like art competition. Tell me more about that.
And they have to use recyclable materials that they can find in their home, bottles, bottle caps, whatever. Paint it to let it look like a Hicatee. Leaving it up to their creativity, really stimulating that creativity for the kids. And their first prize, and then they have to, do a video of themselves showcasing it and give us one fact about Hicatee and post it on our social media page. And it might sound like a lot to ask, but the prizes are really great. So the kids' first prize is a tablet. We're trying to get the kids involved. One of their prizes is also a gift package from BEL. So our sponsors for this have been the Ministry of Blue Economy, BEL. The Belize Audubon Society is also giving us a free tour to provide to one of our winners. And so the kids get a BEL package, and it came with really cool stuff, some school supply. I saw a desk lamp, headphones, and I almost wanted to take out the headphones out of it.
Really nice headphones.
Yeah, really nice headphones.
So I hope you're listening, children, if you're listening, or parents of your kids, there is a competition.
Yeah, so
what is the deadline for that?
So that runs 2 weeks. So we posted up on our webpage, so you can look at our webpage, follow it, like all our social media page. So that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can check out our account and you're able to see the information on what's the requirement for it. And so with the art competition, that's going to get their parents involved to help them look up, research, help them build this, and kind of give them a bit of an activity to do rather than, just to get them engaged. And then aside of that, we're doing these media appearances to be able to educate a wider audience in Belize. And then, Jaren?
Yeah, in addition to that, we also, another aspect of our initiatives is from, at the end of Hicatee Awareness Month, what happened next, right? So the work doesn't stop. We're launching this field season at the ending of the year to give an updated assessment of what the population is like in Belize. And a very interesting byproduct of this research approach is that we get the opportunity to work with students and volunteers. So this is a perfect opportunity for young professionals who may or may not know that they can be an ologist. You know, you have a passion for the great outdoors, you have a passion for wildlife. This is a perfect opportunity for students to volunteer and gain actual field experience and pretty much be out there. And we feel like working and inspiring the next and upcoming generation of conservationists is equally as important as working with the local communities, reaching classrooms, you know. So inspiring that next generation is a critical step in conservation and protecting the biodiversity of Belize. So look out for Team Hicatee at the ending of the year as we launch our field season.
Gotcha. So there was this call, I missed the call, but caller, you're live now. I don't know if you wanted to ask a question to our guests, or good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, hi. I raised the volume a bit.
You guys either have guests in the studio topics that are very, very much interesting.
We could get a little bit more volume for you, Mr. Mayabe. Yes, thanks. I appreciate it. Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I could hear you much better now. Yes, and our guests could hear you as well, and our listeners and viewers.
All right, so very, very interesting topic this morning. The former senior fisheries officer, and you guys do know that fisheries department plays a central role in the management of Hicatee. I don't get the sense that there's anybody from fisheries data this morning. You know, but long story short, I believe that these wild species generally face an uphill struggle. And they face an uphill struggle for two reasons. One, our human population is growing. Back in the days, we used to talk about the population, but they don't anymore. Long story short, the planet last November reached a milestone of 8 billion people. So that is not a little bit of people on the planet. Belize itself has also grown the population of Belize. Certainly in Central America, it's one of the fastest growing populations. Long story short, the culture and the traditional culture of people kind of almost hunting and gathering, including Hicatee, has been a challenge really. I can recall that maybe back in 2 decades ago, there were people that have done tremendous work. There was a gentleman from Florida, John Polisar, that has done tremendous work at Hicatee. I don't remember if he did work in terms of the population dynamics. I'm very, very much interested in that. I think earlier on, there was a comment by a female guest in the studio that you don't really know what the population is, but I guess that may or may not be work in progress. It'd be good to get some definitive comments there in terms of what is going on in terms of maybe population estimates and dynamics. Before I go, I want to say that unless you really husband these animals, unless you do what we call closed cycle aquaculture, where you go from the captive breeding, not just going out in the wild and collecting eggs from along the river banks or creeksides, but where you go through the entire cycle of having an animal in captivity. You basically rear it to clutch, where it spawns, where it lays eggs, and you husband the adults indoor as well. It's not in captivity, and you outplant them, or you put them in a fattening phase. I believe that the future of these animals are really a challenge, and you know, I mean, you can do education, you can do your awareness, you can do your advocacy, but to me, in a sense, it's kind of holding off for a time the barbarians and apes, in a sense, but eventually these animals, they do decline. As I listen to people talking about, well, you know, the population has been going through declines in various areas. What people don't talk about is extinction. And really, in a number of cases, we find that a number of these species go locally extinct. They may not be extinct throughout the wind, but they go locally extinct. And this is really a major concern. So the question that I have is, where is it in terms of perhaps closed cycle aquaculture? Is it being done in Belize? And if it is being done, to what extent? And if it's not being done, is it being contemplated?
I think that's
so let me get off the phone.
Gotcha.
Let me stay on the phone. You know, let me stay on the phone, but let me, you know, if you guys, you're managing it.
I'm trying to teach how to try. But I think that's kind of what you were saying with Be Free, right?
Yeah.
With the hatchlings and then trying to get them back
there was a
into the population.
I remember his name. I don't remember if he was Be Free. He was just a kind of researcher at large, but he's like the formative guys, you know, that he kind of showed out Friday that the KREM used to do. If there's any shows, I would say definitely John Polisar. And Thomas Rain was the people.
Shout out our researchers.
Get off the phone and allow these guys to respond if they choose to know.
So Mira was the woman's voice you heard. Darren is the Be Free person, and you have Dr. McKnight from the research director of Savanna Field Station. I doesn't give all the names. Bueno, all right, hasta luego. So we're going to do it quick just how we have to go to a break. It's a pity, like I would have liked to have enough for a long time, but maybe this is consider coming back more often, right?
So real quick, just to jump on that, so we're not step on anybody to it. So like it's a collaborative effort. So you definitely have the fisheries department, you have different researchers, you have like facility managers of the HCRC. I don't want to call names because I really don't want to miss anybody, but it's definitely a team effort when it comes to Hicatee conservation. And there is a captive breeding facility called the Hicatee Conservation and Research Center in Belize that is focused on studying the biology of the turtle, and hopefully we plan to repopulate or augment populations that have been in decline. I also want to add that October 17th in Belize is National Hicatee Day. And we just want to instill a sense of pride in the Belizean people when it comes to our natural resources. Remember, the tapir had the same fate, right? People used to eat tapir meat, and there were enforcement set in place, and now the tapir is steadily, the population is steadily increasing, and we hope that the Hicatee could have the same fate. You know, it's not grim as yet. Belize is the stronghold for this turtle. So as a country, let's continue to work together to help protect our natural resources.
And just to let the caller know that John Polisar and Thomas Rainwater was really some of our foundations here in Belize when it comes to Hicatee research. John Polisar was a previous Wildlife Conservation Society employee internationally, and he did a lot of research in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and was foundational in helping, instrumental in helping creating the legislation we have now to protect the Hicatee species. And Thomas Rainwater came in afterwards and do our last countrywide survey that we've had to give us the idea of we are really in a critical point where we need to make some change. And so these individuals are by no means absent from the Hicatee world. I still communicate with John to get, you know, advice, feedback. We are youngins in this process. Those gentlemen are who we look to get, you know, advice to tell us, you know, how best we can steer. And it's kind of like a role model to us, you know. I met Thomas Rainwater last year when we went to a turtle conference, a large turtle conference. John I've met a couple of times because we've worked for the same organization, and he's still very active in the realm. He still sends me grants on, like, let's try to apply for this, you know, what's going on, and he's always interested into coming back. So they're still playing an active role, just
zoo,
you know, kind of maybe in the behind the scenes, and you're seeing new faces now doing this. And to just say the Fisheries Department is very instrumental in a lot of the work that we do. They are the authority and they're the enforcement body, and we can't do anything without their assistance, especially if we need some level of enforcement. The sad part is fisheries is so strapped with resources. And you know, they depend also, or they look to a lot of the conservation organization, the NGOs and the community-based organizations for assistance and help some of the enforcement that is required. And so that's why we want to empower the communities to be stewards, because we know the department lack resources, lack personnel, and we see that in all of our government department, you know. So it's really a collaborative effort that we're trying to do to be able to save these species.
Wonderful. And I am so sorry that we're out of time because there's so much more to discuss, but I want to thank all of you,
thank you for
my
having
guests.
us.
Thank you so much for informing us. I learned so much this morning. We're going to take a short break. Don't go, because